person put his hand on my head. Then I started hearing Mohanji's voice. The voice said, "You are Sara. You are Milita's daughter. You cannot walk." And I just said, "Yes." And then the voice continued.
Welcome, everyone. Good to talk to you again. And today it's a very important or a very exciting meeting or this conversation. I'm so excited to invite Sara, youth from our South Africa family. She's the daughter of Milista Vulatovic. That Milista is very well known in the entire Mohanji global family. She belongs to South Africa. And why this is so exciting, you will explore this as we speak. This conversation with Sara is not going to be just one today. It will be a series of talks because Sara is actually the epitome of, or she actually enacts the life of connection to consciousness, which is beyond form and beyond any boundaries that of physical existence. How this is hearing from a youth like her, we will continue speaking. But let us first invite Sara, and I also requested Melissa to join with us today for the beginning part to to unveil this entire story of Sara Vulatovic. Sara, welcome to our
Thank
session
you.
today. Very
Thank
happy to see you. How are you feeling?
Good.
I'm so excited when you agreed that you will speak to me on the video. Of course, we are all here in a family. There is nothing to be fearful, but your young life that we see, uh, it's a tremendous example for people. So I'm sure it will motivate and inspire thousands of people across the world, wherever they are watching us. So I'm grateful to you for agreeing for this conversation. And thank you, Melissa, for great support, not just in Sara's life, but also bringing this story to here to everybody.
It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. Thank you, Luba.
So, Sara, how old are you now?
23, turning 24 this year.
Oh, wow. Seems like I think we know you almost about 10 years now, right? You know Mohanji since 10 years now?
9 years, actually. 9
Yeah.
years. Almost 10 years.
So that time you were just 13, 14 years of age.
Yes.
Wonderful. What are you doing right now?
I'm now currently working. I received a job, so I'm now currently very busy with working. I finished school end of last year.
Wow, you already finished school and started working. Unbelievable. I still remember Sara as a little girl going to school and Melissa talking about her school. So, how was your school life? Maybe Melissa, maybe you can add when Sara first met Mohanji at that time when she was 13, 14, probably going to school. How was the life that time?
Yeah, that's how actually it all started. Sarah's young life was quite turbulent, and even her arrival to this to this realm, she was very, very prematurely born, and they said that she has only 4% of chance of survival. So that's how it started in ICU, neonatal for almost 4 months on machines and all sorts of things. But, the first moment I saw her, I felt incredible energy in Sara, such a fighter spirit. It's beyond words, really. I knew this soul is here to stay and make a difference. So yeah, everything was quite turbulent for a long time, but the hardest part was actually the schooling years, because that's when they made her feel different, the schooling system. They said, that nobody actually wanted to accept her in any schools. She was too different. There were different ways of them telling us that you're not welcomed. And that was quite hurtful for both of us. That pulled us in a direction to seek help, and understanding why things happen in life this way. So actually, her own life and everything that was happening, we really needed more guidance. We needed more help and understanding why such things happen to pure soul. And I seeked myself for answers. Didn't really find much help, and this threw both of us into quite an anxiety and depression even. And that's how one day one friend of mine recommended me to meet Mohanji. She knew him very well, connected to him deeply, and she said, as a suggestion, he's coming to South Africa. Why don't you just go and meet him? And that was the day our life changed forever.
Amazing. Before we go to meeting with Mohanji, I would like to hear a little bit from you, Sara. When your mom said about the turbulent life in school, maybe you are not so much welcomed. How did you feel when you were in school with other children and your teachers?
Rejected and not worth it enough to be here in this world. It was really difficult, especially when you ask the teacher for help and she ignores you. Yes, she goes to every other pupil, but doesn't come to me. That was happening in a number of schools until we found the right school.
Wow.
When we found the right primary school, that's where things started changing. I was becoming more comfortable slowly. Anxiety was still there, but it was accepted. So the school knew about it. They were just letting me flow through it until one day it completely vanished.
So beautiful. I mean, looking at now to you, you still speak about your anxiety and the feeling of rejection, but still with a smile on your face. It's unbelievable that you actually have gone through that extreme situation of being rejected and that anxiety that you are explaining. The
Yes.
outcome is tremendous.
Even outside of school, I would be rejected. Let's say I go to my friend's party, they would just leave me on the side and continue doing what they're doing and just leave me like sitting by myself.
So what are the thoughts in your mind in those time, in those circumstances? How did you feel?
I felt like not I felt like I'm not trying hard enough. And that I'm supposed to speak up, but I couldn't because the circumstances at those times were difficult. Especially expressing myself was very difficult.
You couldn't express yourself.
Yes.
Did you feel a little bit of guilty?
Yes.
But now when you remember those time or those people or the teacher, do you have any of those feeling right now? How do you feel about them right now?
now I feel like it's like that is all past and that's all gone, and just carry on with my life. That's how I feel.
I think this is the greatest,
Because those teachers or those people at that certain time didn't know better. They didn't know better. They couldn't see. They couldn't see really what's there. They couldn't see my talents, what I'm capable of. That's why they were doing that to me. I believe that.
I mean, this is, wisdom coming from a young girl. And I think that's the learning that learning for everyone. I just want to summarize what she said. Even though whatever difficulties and rejection and ignorance that she took or she experienced that time, now she doesn't carry any of those hard feelings or feeling of revenge or anger or anything right now, because what she said, that she understand that maybe those people didn't understand it that time what she is going through. So it's an excellent attitude, Sara. I must say that you have been able to inculcate that feeling of understanding and acceptance, and not keeping the feeling of revenge and anger, which is beautiful. I must congratulate you for that. Wonderful. And Melissa, I think you have a great role to play in that as well. But is this the time when the changes were happening after meeting Mohanji?
Yes, yes, we actually didn't mention because we don't see Sara, we don't see her with her limitations. So we didn't even mention at the beginning that due to her premature, being born prematurely, that she couldn't, she was diagnosed quadriplegic and with cerebral palsy when she was 1 year old. And that's where physical limitations started happening, and they started create the external world reflected those limitations back to us until the day. So she's in a wheelchair, but until the day she met Mohanji herself and started connecting to him. I remember those, she will explain you in detail how that went and what happened. I had no role to play there. I feel it was always meant to be. And, but certainly for myself, there was a huge shift when I met Mohanji. In the first year or so, or even 2, I had to shed a lot of accumulated emotions, blockage, just due to this situation. At least that's what I was aware of. I remember practicing power purity meditation, connecting to Mohanji, going to the retreats, and I was really crying for days and days and releasing everything, all the rejection and all these emotions and accumulated things that I realized were there because I totally identified with my situation completely. And he showed so nicely, very quickly, you are not your situation, you're not your limitations. So I was on my path to healing, and Sara had completely unique way of connecting, completely different way, which I would like her to
Yeah, I'm sure we'll definitely come to that because that is a turning point. Just one last point before moving on to meeting Mohanji, Sara. So we realize, or we have talked about your emotional and mental state back then and now. So back then you were anxious, you were feeling rejected, you also built guilt that you are not able to express and why people are not accepting you. But now, 10 years later, right now, you are much stable, much loving, much calmer. You have accepted how people are, and you have no feeling of anger, hatred, or anything like that for those people. That's a transformation and complete positive movement from that state to this state, which we understand. I want to just touch upon briefly on your physical level. how were you in your, we understand that you are in a wheelchair, but how did you feel physically that time and now?
I could not accept myself that I'm different from others. It was really difficult for me. But now I see that no matter how I am physically, I can still live life like everyone else. But with the physical limitations, but I don't think about my physical limitations that much anymore, because it's pointless. I just need to accept myself the way I am.
Wow. Again, I'm getting goosebumps, truly. Coming from, so we take decades and decades and decades, sometimes lifetimes, to accept ourselves. And what you just said that, coming from where you couldn't accept your physical challenge to now you are in complete acceptance level. And that shows the stability that, it's not the fact that you are actually going ahead and working. You're serving the society in
Yes.
work. It's unbelievable, isn't it, Melissa?
Yes. I never thought this would be possible.
We have actually because I of course have seen Sarah's growing up in last few 7, 8, 9 years, and through your Facebook sharings and Sarah's videos, we have seen when Sarah was trying to learning to walk. Some of the videos she used to share with her helpers on the both side, and she was trying to work. And, so we have seen that joy. Of course, it's not your limitation, but also, how you took on the challenge and try to beat it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So now let's talk about your, when did you first hear about Mohanji and how?
I first heard about Mohanji from uh, my mom when she came back from the retreat. She was telling me how nice it was, how different she sees life. And I remember the day she told me that I remember the day she told me I want to become vegetarian. I don't want to eat meat anymore. And then I was thinking about that for quite a long time, probably a year and a half, about that. And then when in the middle of 2015, I eventually came to a point when I said to myself, "Oh, this is right. We shouldn't kill any beings to be able to eat." That's how I took on the challenge of becoming vegetarian first. And how I connected to Mohanji is really interesting. It was in the same year, but a bit earlier on. It was in 2015, but in February, I was given, there was a power of purity meditation held in our home in honor of Mohanji's birthday. My mom was hosting a few people here for the meditation, and I was given Mohanji energy transfer by someone who knew Mohanji at that time. At that time, it used to still be called Shaktipat, but now it's called energy transfer. The moment the person put his hand on my head, then I started hearing Mohanji's voice. The voice said, "You are Sara. You are you are Milita's daughter, you cannot walk. And I just said, yes. And then the voice continued saying, you, it's difficult for you to accept the way you are. And I said, yes. And I remember asking the voice, who are you? And the voice said, I am Mohanji. And then I started asking the voice a question. I started saying, when this hand comes off my head, how will I be able to talk to you? He said, you know that my picture is in your bedroom. Go to your bedroom and try to look into my eyes and see what's going to happen. So the hand eventually came off my head, and a few days passed, but a day after that, I eventually started seeing a difference. I wasn't so anxious. I eventually started seeing a difference. Then it was around April, end of April, that I was experiencing a bit of turbulence in my life, and I needed a bit of help, a bit of help with it. And then I just said, oh, I was sitting in my room, and I just said, oh, let me go to Mohanji's photo and see if he can help me. Then I started then I started saying to Mohanji, I don't know if you remember me, but I am this and this person. And he says, yes, Sarah, I remember you. How can I help? How, how can I help you? Then I started explaining him the problem. And then he said to me, do there is three parts of how to solve this current problem that I was experiencing. So he said, do the first part first, then the second part, then the third part. And he said, this part is very important. He said, if you need me along the way, just think of me. I will be there.
Wow.
And then I went to face this particular problem. And then when I that evening after I faced this particular problem I was experiencing, Mohanji said to me, when you are done facing this particular problem, and when you see a difference, and when you see that you were helped, please come and thank me. So that evening, I the photo and said to him, "Thank you, Mohanji. Your advice worked." And he said, "It always works." So, and then he said to me something very important. He said to me, "Don't tell your mother what's going on here. She has to hear from Africa, and
Connection. Oh, you lost connection for a moment.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please continue. Yeah.
and then when he walked into the house, I couldn't believe that the person that I've been talking to for 3 months or 4 at that time, or even more than that, I can't remember the exact number, that person is alive, that photo is a live person living a life. And then he just tapped me on the head and said, "Hello, Sara." Then I said, "Oh, this person really knows who I am." And then 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 the then the days carried on, and around the end of around nearing the end of June, there was a retreat in South Africa with Mohanji. My mom said to me, "Do you want to go to the retreat?" I said, "Yes." But my mom warned me and said it's not going to be easy. And I said, I'm aware of it. And then I went to the retreat. The first evening, everything was normal. First and second evening, everything was normal. But I wake up on the third day of the retreat, not feeling well. Everything feels strange. My body doesn't feel like my body. And my body was experiencing flu symptoms and other symptoms that go along with the flu. And then I got a bit scared. I was like, what's happening here? Then I asked Mohanji in the way I always talk to him. I asked him, what's going on? He said, "I am cleaning you. I know you are not comfortable, but be patient. This will only last 24 hours." Then we went to the morning satsang after breakfast. And then I was managing inside the satsang hall, but I was feeling uncomfortable. Then we were breaking for lunch. We had a lunch break. Then I said to my mom, because at that point of time, Mohanji was taking one-on-ones. I said to my mom that I would like to speak to Mohanji one-on-one. And she said, okay, I will organize it for you. After the lunch break, I was the first one to be called into the room for one-on-ones. And then, then he just comes in, and then he asked me a question. "Sara, how are you?" I said, I don't feel very well. And then I started crying, saying that I don't feel very well and I need help. And then he said, "Don't worry, don't feel scared. This will go away by 6 p.m. tonight or latest tomorrow morning." I said to myself, at that point in time, it sounded a little bit strange to me, but I said to myself, I need to believe this. This person is not a normal person, so I need to believe him. That's what I said inside of myself. And then we went for the afternoon satsang after the lunch break. I started feeling a little bit better, but I was still feeling uncomfortable. So, and then we broke for dinner, and then at dinner I started feeling more myself. I was still feeling unwell, but I started smiling, laughing, and talking normally to people like I normally do. And then I went to bed. That's when it started intensifying the symptoms I was feeling. But I eventually managed to fall asleep. When I woke up the next morning, everything was gone. Everything was gone. I was healthy. There was no flu symptoms anymore. Then I said to myself that that this is true. This person is not a normal, not ordinary person, and I must go and thank him because this doesn't happen in everyday life like this.
So, Sara, I just want to take a quick break there.
Yes.
You have, before meeting Mohanji physically and before having this one-to-one, you
Yes.
had this one-to-one with him, which started with that Shaktipat. And then when you were speaking to him through the photo, you had the one-to-one then. And then you
Yes.
had a one-to, so that time also, like when you went and spoke to him on the photo, you had a problem. You were in problem, so you went to him, he gave you a solution, and you worked on that and it worked. And so you went and said thank you to him. So that it
Yes.
was a problem situation. And now when you met him physically, you are also in a problem, you are not feeling well, and you met him physically for the first time. Did you find a difference speaking to him through a photo and speaking to him in person? Was there a difference?
There's actually no difference, but just the mind prefers to see the person physically. That I must tell always my mind to not say to not want to yearn for that, because the metaphysical connection is better than the physical connection.
And you had tested that metaphysical connection, which was perfect, isn't it?
Yes.
So beautiful. Yeah, please continue what you are saying.
So I eventually recovered. Then that morning at breakfast, people couldn't believe their eyes. I was so sick the previous day, but then I got better just just by believing, in what I was told. And then the retreat after a couple of days ended. I was feeling so sad.
Oh.
Such good memories, right? It brings you and the memories of.
Yeah, I think it was, when you connect, when you feel that profound connection to Mohanji, when it's like a recognition and feeling of unbelievable feeling of being home, and it's just profound.
Yeah.
You connect even to yourself in those moments.
Yeah.
And Sara, is what she's showing right now is now you think you are saying goodbye to that, that connection when it's there permanently. But for her, obviously, it was the first time ever in this life
Yeah.
to feel that. And that's why she just remembered the moment of having to say goodbye. It was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking to say goodbye to Mohanji. And we all experienced that in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So.
She has also experienced, like the powerful metaphysical connection, which she says, beautifully put that it's only our mind which thinks we are separated. It's the mind which thinks that, physical presence is the thing. But actually, metaphysical presence and connection is so, so powerful.
Yes, so, and so interesting because all along, still, I didn't know she's communicating in Mohanji. Because Mohanji told her not to tell me, so I knew nothing.
She listened to Mohanji, and
she does, of course.
Yeah.
And I want to add regarding that retreat, I remember people were quite shy to ask questions. And Sarah was asking questions all the time. It was so sweet. You know, I know Sara is a very shy person in public. She never asked anything, but in Mohanji's satsangs, she was the first one like this, in the first row, the front row, and all the time. But her questions were so profound.
Wow.
So profound. I remember turning towards Sara thinking, how does she know about this? Where is this question coming from? I didn't know her having these questions. They were really profound, and everyone noticed, wow, this question. And then Mohanji talking to her and explaining, and that interaction between them in each satsang was so memorable, so special. You could see there is unbelievable special connection here. An exchange. So that I remember so clearly. I
Wow.
saw it are completely different in that.
Yes.
retreat.
I remember one question I asked, and then everyone just turned. I asked him who, I asked Mohan, I said, Mohanji, who is Shirdi Sai Baba? And everyone just turned.
Oh,
Everyone just turned. Everyone was so shocked with
Wow.
that.
Yeah, and that's actually the time when we were not. It was not talked about Baba so much. This just came to Sara. Very, very interesting
Oh,
connection.
really? Oh, I see.
Yeah, we didn't even have. I'm not sure if we at that time were. Yeah, it was talked too much about Shirdi Baba's connection and Mohanji's connection. So Sara started that talk that day. It was, yeah, I remember that. I remember that very, very well.
Yeah.
So basically, she asked about Shirdi Sai Baba without any previous, discussion, talking, no explanation, but she suddenly asked about Baba. So,
Yeah.
that is just to tell the connection of Mohanji and Baba and Sara to, kind of bringing it out. Wow, amazing.
Yes.
I think on that note, Sara and Melissa, we will break it for here today. We will come back again to hear more, going on from there. I just wanted to give the background of your life before Mohanji and your first meetings and these nuggets that you said, the how that connection was established. I think this is very beautiful. And in this also you have given so much of so many nuggets of wisdom, profound sentence that you have experienced in this short lifetime. But we will leave our audience with that, and we will meet soon again. So till then, have a great day, and thank you once again to speak to us. And thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.